Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Junatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Puja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Junatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Sadhu Vrindavan, where's your horn? Blow that horn. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sadhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Mahamantra Ki.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki.
Jai.
Not finishing without hearing Sadhu's horn. Sadhu, play your horn. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande. Hold on, keep that horn there. Play a G, Sadhu. That's not G. That's an F.
No, this
One
is
note up.
an F is
C, D. Sorry, Gamata. There.
One up.
One up.
Wait, you have
There you go. Okay, we need practice session to get in sync,
Yes.
to bring that horn on board. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Mangalacharna 1, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Vidhatam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Stapitam Nina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamunye Nam Dikte Chede Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamunyenam dite nitai namineche namirhate Shadamunyenam dite chere namineche namirhate Shadamunyenam dite chere. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now I want to look at a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, chapter number 23, text number 22. Labdva janmamara prartyam manusham tad dvijaragriyatam tad anadrita ye swaratam grananti yantyashubham gatim. Those who obtain human life, which is prayed for even by the demigods, and in that human birth become situated as first-class brahmanas, are extremely fortunate. If they disregard this important opportunity, they are certainly killing their own self-interest and thus achieve a most unfortunate end. Please repeat. Altogether, those who obtain human life, which is prayed for even by the demigods, and in that human birth, altogether, those who obtain human life, which is prayed for even by the demigods, and in that human birth become situated as first-class brahmanas, are extremely fortunate. If they disregard this important opportunity, they are certainly killing their own self-interest and thus achieve a most unfortunate end. Speaking of endings, I'll be ending the class this morning at 9:29 and 59 seconds so that we can have Guru Puja and announcements and start the Gita contest. The contest of all contests coming up at 10 o'clock sharp. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments as follows. Human birth is better than that of the demigods, ghosts, spirits, animals, trees, lifeless stones, and so forth, because the demigods simply enjoy celestial pleasures, and in other forms of life there is excessive suffering. It is only in human life that one deeply considers one's ultimate benefit in life. Human birth is therefore more desirable than even that of the demigods. Within human life, the position of a high-class brahmana is certainly most desirable. If a brahmana, however, gives up the devotional service of the Lord and works hard like a shudra simply for the prestige of his community, he is certainly on the platform of material sense gratification. The special qualification of the brahmana is the spiritual knowledge by which they recognized every living entity to be an eternal servant of the Lord. A brahmana, free from false ego, thus feels himself lower than a blade of grass and tolerantly offers respect to all living entities. All human beings, and especially the brahmanas, should avoid becoming killers of their own self-interest by neglecting Krishna consciousness, the loving service of the Lord. Such neglect paves the way for future suffering. Human mind is subtle, can appreciate high concepts, starting with the fact that we can learn languages, which is remarkable. We have syntax and grammar. You go back to the gallery, please. The complexity of syntax and grammar is practically unimaginable. We might take it for granted. But the fact that we can articulate thoughts, we can talk about we can express concepts in terms of past tense, present tense, future tense, conditional tense, and many other nuances of language is simply remarkable. It reveals the subtlety of the human mind, how much power we've been given in the human mind. This facility for such subtle thinking in this verse, I think, is very important for us to remember. Remembering Tasmat ekena manasa bhagavan sattvatam bhati shotavya kirtitavyascha dheya pujascha nityada. We have really one purpose, which is to use our extremely enriched minds, or our minds which are capable of subtle thinking, to think of the highest concept, to investigate what is the purpose of life, and to contemplate an original source. Causality is important. Intelligence means we can trace out where things come from. To the degree that our intelligence is limited, to that degree, we also cannot think past a certain point in the chain of causality. Animals, when they see something move, often don't consider what made it move. They simply react. For instance, a cat, when it sees a pebble move, jumps on the pebble and thinks, I wonder if it's going to move again. It doesn't think, is this alive or dead? Who threw the pebble? Whereas a monkey, I can assure you, if you throw a pebble at a monkey, he'll come back at you, but he'll go get his friends first, and then they'll beat you up because they knew you threw it. But a monkey can't think much past that. Like, why did he throw it? What was his intention? Also, a monkey, when he gets a banana, doesn't think about, I wonder if these are imported. I wonder if they come from Colombia or local here in Delhi. Or did they come by truck from Bengal? A monkey just eats the banana. We trace back the origin of things based on our intelligence. Those who are brahmanas, they have the most extensive intelligence. It's expanded by power of practice and a spiritual association, and therefore they can think about causality in a way that takes them all the way back to the beginning. That's where the Srimad Bhagavatam starts. Janmad yasya yataha. There is beginning to everything. Everything emanates from an original source. That has implications in our life, that something comes from a particular source. The next question might be, what is the nature of that source? What is my relationship with that source? And this is the subject matter for devotional service. If we look at it in very broad terms, what is the source? And what is my relationship with the source? And what is my duty to that source? When one is bestowed with refined intelligence, and as is mentioned in this purport, human life is a gift with the possibility of attaining the highest benefit. Elsewhere, Krishna talks about how the human body is a boat. Nrideham ajam sulabam sadulabam plafam sukalpam guru karnadaram mayana kulyena nabasviteritum. He says, human life, human body, nrideham, it's a boat. You can take this boat all the way across the ocean of material life. Don't waste it, he says. If you waste it, you become Atmaha, killer of the soul. Subtle thinking requires a lifestyle in which we're not exposing ourselves to low vibrations or becoming controlled or obligated to low habits. And everything we do, because the goal of life is so subtle, and the process for understanding it requires such refined intelligence, everything we do is significant. Sometimes things which look insignificant can be missed. For instance, a snare. A snare is a little loop put out by a hunter. It looks like, oh, it's nothing. It's just a little thread with a loop on it. But if the rabbit steps in the snare, it's entangled. A fishhook also looks insignificant. Oh, it's just a tiny little piece of metal, but it has a barb in it. If somebody bites on it, then life is over. Similarly, the beginning of Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami says, Vacho Vegam, Manasakrota Vegam. Off-colored comments, using the tongue for describing the material world and encouraging attachment to it, is significant. It's the difference between an enlightened being and a non-enlightened being. How you use your power of speech. It seems insignificant to pass this comment or that, but one wrong comment can start a war. It can end a relationship. It can begin a relationship. Especially nowadays, everything you say is captured somewhere. But it has its implication. Human intelligence means to be aware of this. It's our duty as brahmanas, those who understand spirit, to know how significant it is when we speak. What's the difference between speaking a spiritual mantra and speaking something about enjoying the material world? There's a huge difference. Anyarevahur sambhavad, anyarahura sambhavat. Iti shushumadiranam yenas tadvid shakshire. The difference has been explained by the dhiras, those who have understood the severity of the consequences and who are therefore very careful. Dhira means careful. It means sober. Sober means careful. People who are intoxicated are not careful. They get some chemical in their blood and then they'll say any damn thing. They don't even know they said it. And the next day they wake up and they say, why I'm in jail. not paying attention. It may look insignificant. What's the difference for 1 second? You may have a head-on collision with a truck. That's the difference. Not paying attention, using the human mind to tasmat ekena manasa, the mind fixed. The Bhagavatam's serious. It says, keep your mind fixed in one place on your service. Tasmat ekena manasa Bhagavan. Keep it on Bhagavan. Sattvatampati. He's your protector. Not paying attention is the cause of bloodshed. As the old Vedic aphorism says, in shaving, a moment's inattention causes bloodshed. Inattention. Oh, it's no big deal. For those on the spiritual path, it's a big deal. Pay attention. While driving, it makes a big difference. Of course, devotees consider themselves to be insignificant. They know that they've been given a significant opportunity, but they feel themselves to be insignificant. Prabhupada signed his poems, The Insignificant Beggar. The holy name may look insignificant. After all, it's just a song, someone might think. But actually, it's Krishna, directly. The 4 regulative principles. They may seem insignificant. Oh, I know that. I know what they are. It's no big deal. Anybody can do that. But actually, as Prabhupada told one disciple, if you follow the 4 regulative principles and chant your 16 rounds carefully, you'll become as strong as the Himalayas in spiritual life. Is that significant? Yes, because who can do that? Great scholars can't do it. Athletes can't do it. Nobody can do it. But if somebody takes shelter of this seemingly insignificant phrase, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that person can become a Mahatma, a great soul, and overcome the ocean of material existence. Prabhupada says how that's possible, even though we're insignificant. He says a tiny fish is more powerful than the elephant because the fish has taken shelter of the water. When it comes to water, the fish is more powerful. How is that possible? An elephant and a tiny fish, which is more powerful? In the water, the fish is more powerful. Why? He's taken shelter of the water. He can swim upstream. Even an elephant will be washed away by the Ganga. Can't make it across. So our surrender to the holy name is significant. It allows us to swim in this material world without being swept away. Humility is significant. First of all, what is it? Humility is the recognition that our Shakti comes from Krishna. Our Shakti comes from Krishna. Everything we do, whatever we're able to accomplish, we thank Krishna. We say, thank you for giving me the power to do this. This is humility. It doesn't mean that you don't do things. It doesn't mean that you don't shine. It doesn't mean that you don't excel in everything or try to for Krishna. But you give all the credit to Krishna. You recognize anything I'm able to do is Krishna Shakti. It comes from him. That's humility. And when we take shelter of Krishna in a mood of surrender, he ferociously protects us. It's like, when lioness is with her cubs. She becomes ferocious. Everyone knows if you see a little baby cub, get out of there quick, because it means the mother's there somewhere nearby, and you're going to be in big trouble. So when we become fully surrendered to Krishna, it's the most significant thing we can do, and Krishna becomes ferocious about protecting us. So this verse is a reminder of how subtle things make a big difference. Human life, we've been handed the greatest opportunity, a technological device, unprecedented in material nature, where we can actually think subtly. So the Shastras say, don't waste it on gross things. Refine your goal of life. Refine your speech. Refine your sense of who you are, and surrender to Krishna. Refine your attitude. Become humble. When you meet a humble person who recognizes all my Shakti comes from Krishna, that person emanates spiritual power through that humility and surrender. I just read in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first verse that is spoken by the demigods praying to Lord Krishna in the womb, that because Krishna is truth, said hypocrites cannot understand Krishna ever, because he's the supreme truth. And he's fully aware of our intentions. So how significant are our intentions? Seems imperceivable practically, but it has the most significant effect, whether we can understand Krishna or not understand Krishna, whether our intention is refined and properly aligned. So that we could take note of this verse, the mood of it, and permission to work on ourselves to take advantage of these subtleties afforded to us in human life. And by tiny degrees of adjustment, our life becomes more and more significant, and the results of our practice become more and more noticeable to us. Everything's possible in this human life. Be in Katvanga consciousness. We can't say, oh, I don't have enough time to do it. Katvanga did it in a minute. We may have a few more than 1 minute, but we should follow his footsteps. Never say it's too late. Which verse number? You mean the original verse, Malini?
Prabhu, the one that you just read, Prabhu. So I got it. It's
11:23-22.
Yes,
That's
Prabhu.
the one?
Yes, Prabhu.
I'll read it again. Those who obtain human life, which is prayed for even by the demigods. Did you note that also? It's prayed for even by the demigods because the demigods have it too good. It's possible to have it too good. You can't concentrate. Human life's perfect. Don't complain that your life is suffering. That's good. You have the perfect balance. Those who obtain human life, which is prayed for even by the demigods, and in that human birth become situated as first-class brahmanas, are extremely fortunate. If they disregard this important opportunity, they are certainly killing their own self-interest and thus achieve a most unfortunate end. I'm going to go look and see if there's anything on the board. But in the meantime, feel free to add something in the way of a reflection or a question.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Where are you?
I'm in Michigan right now.
Okay.
I was just thinking, I was on a plane yesterday from Texas to Michigan, And I was just reading that pastime of Katvanga on the airplane. And right when I started reading it, the plane started going into extreme turbulence. And I was thinking, I was like, this is so fitting. I'm getting the perfect opportunity to see that when our life puts us in turbulence, we need to follow the example of Maharaj Katvanga. So I like that you brought up the point about Maharaj Katvanga, because I was just reading about him yesterday and is in a perfect scenario to understand the mood of that pastime.
Oh, nice. Nice anecdote. And the Bhagavatam gives us many such heroes to take shelter of. We have Katvanga, we have Jad Bharat, we have Parikshit Maharaj, we have Didichi. How much of a hero is Didichi? Everybody knew his reputation. How'd you like to have a reputation like that? You can ask him for charity for the Lord, and he'll give it. They said, what are we going to ask him for? It's a little donation. Your bones. He said, don't worry, he'll give it. They asked him, he said, you're asking a lot, aren't you? And they said, well, it's for Vishnu. And he said, I know that. I'm going to give him. Didichi gave his bones. These are our superheroes. If we keep them in our mind and heart, Katvanga, Parikshit Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, then we'll always be fortified. We can call on them to protect us, to protect our refined human life, or to refine our human life, and to protect the opportunity that we have. Please guide me, Katvanga Maharaj. Let me be like you. Yes, Shraddha.
Maharaj, I really liked two things from this lecture. One was about humility, and the real definition of humility is that we accept that everything that we have good is actually coming from Krishna. And in that context, we had used the word we should refine. We should refine our attitude. I really like that a lot. And then connecting that with what you were mentioning in the japa circle today morning, there also you were saying that when we are chanting, there's an attitude change. Like from I'm being the controller, I'm actually your servant. So thank you so much for bringing in two levels of, two aspects to refining ourselves.
Thank you, Shraddha. When I think of refinement, what first comes to my mind is making sandesh. As when I was taught by a great master how to make sandesh. Unfortunately, I haven't taken full advantage recently of these teachings, but I did put my heart and soul into sandesh making for at least 2.5 years. I made it every week. And what I learned from my teacher was that sandesh with any lumps, even the microscopic lumps, is useless. Sandesh takes patience to make. You could put it, if you want to cheat a little bit, you can put the curd through the champion juicer, come out the other side, but that's not it. It's not done. You have to put it on marble or stainless steel, completely flat, and you stay there until your kneading renders it so smooth that there's no perception of grit whatsoever. And similarly, as we're working on ourselves, our speech, our attitudes, don't think, oh, I'm already there. I'm perfect, powerful, and happy. No one's as advanced as I am. Everyone should offer homage unto me for being a great devotee, but we should think, oh, I need refinement. And when somebody corrects us, we should think, yes, this is the kneading process. I'm being spread out on a piece of marble, and thank you for bearing down upon me until all the lumps come out, the microscopic lumps. And when sandesh is completely smooth, you know that somebody put their heart and soul into it, making sure there's not one last piece of grit. then it's sublime. One tiny piece of sandesh, after being offered at Mangalartik to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will transport one directly, with no detours, to Goloka Vrindavan. Little saffron, Goloka. It's so sublime. And those who use their lives for this kind of kneading, again and again and again, patiently working to refine their attitudes. Malini talked about etiquette. She gave such a nice seminar on this all those years ago, back when even I was young, and you were all just kids. She gave that seminar on etiquette, and she pointed out how Lord Chaitanya said that it's just the ornament of the devotees. Oh, when somebody has refined themselves like Sandesh, everyone wants to be there with them. It's the greatest treasure. It's sublime. A little association with such a person, and you're transported directly, no detours, right back to Goloka. That's how powerful the soul is in contact with Krishna through refined attitude, practice, and sentiment. The mood of the heart is, I am a servant of Krishna. I only want to please Krishna, my spiritual master. This is unlimited power.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I really liked that example can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I really like that example you gave about the fish and elephant, showing how the fish is actually stronger by surrendering. And I was reminded of that example Srila Prabhupada often gives of a dog, and the one with the master is actually the one who's more protected and who's enjoying more, whereas the one who's just living stray on the street is the one actually suffering. And I was just reminded about how us humans in our quest for independence, we often forget that we are happier when we're dependent on Krishna. And recently, earlier in the week, I was reading this verse from the Bhumi Gita. I think it was the 43rd verse. And then it mentioned about how even all the demigods will bow down to the Supreme Lord, but the specific words, the petty and miserable human beings fail to do so. And I was also reminded, in this purport, it said how the demigods strive for a human birth, and then I was remembering how by us not being willing to bow down to the Supreme Lord, it's just a waste.
Nice points, really nice points. The last point you made about unwillingness to bow down. Recently, I read in two places where Prabhupada uses the word slight. He says in the 9th canto that if you develop a slight, actually they're both in the 10th canto, if you develop a slight inclination to hear about Krishna, your life becomes perfect. And he also says a little bit later, if you develop a slight inclination, if you develop a slight inclination to offer your homage to Krishna, even if you do it slightly, your life becomes perfect. Yeah, great points, Avantika. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, there was such a beautiful verse that you told us today, Prabhu. I was thinking about this this week. We were reading the pastime about Lord Brahma stealing Krishna's friends and the calves, and there it is said that Brahma actually was not able to take the real Krishna's friends. He only took the whatever was the Maya part of it, and then we were thinking how that anybody who has touch with anything material cannot touch anything spiritual, leave alone touching Krishna or his friends or his paraphernalia. But I was thinking how you said today that like a fish in the water, if we take shelter of the holy name, holy name is touching Krishna with the sound vibration. And though we are living in this material world, but still we are able to perceive or get a glimpse of the touch of Krishna through the holy name. And I was feeling so grateful that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this process of chanting, which could actually connect us to the supreme abode of Krishna. So thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, really important points. The other day, when I was talking to Ananda Murari Prabhu, the famous bhajaneer, lives in Denver, and he just finished a college degree in psychology. And I asked him, well, how were your classes? How did you like the academic process? And he said, well, my overall realization is that education is you get out of it what you put into it. And so much of what we have, well, let me rephrase that. Everything that we have is what we ourselves have put in to our practice, into our lives. Because Krishna says, Ye yatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. I'm facilitating whatever you want, dear son. I'll give you whatever you wish, dear one. Krishna's so kind. He's fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial, and he doesn't coerce us because he wants us to voluntarily decide to love him. So, to your point about the way that we invest ourselves in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when the 7th child of Devaki appears that there was a miscarriage, and then the daughter is there, and Kamsa comes to kill the daughter on the 8th. He couldn't tell if it was 7 or 8, but then, of course, the daughter came from Yashoda, was traded for Krishna, who was born to Devaki. And when he tried to kill her, she chastised him and said, "You're such a fool." And there, Prabhupada explains how Yoga Maya and Mahamaya are simultaneously available according to the way we interact with the world. For those who are sincere and try to serve Krishna, Yoga Maya makes herself available and facilitates us. If I want to enjoy the material world, then Mahamaya facilitates everything so that I can get the illusion that I want. Everything is responding to us. Everything in our environment responds to us appropriately. That can be maddening in one way, but actually it's great news, because it means that if I adjust and refine myself, my environment will respond appropriately. Even karma is an appropriate response to the way I'm moving. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter, check that, in the 11th canto, in the story of the Avanti Brahmana. The Avanti Brahmana who starts off his life as an entrepreneur and develops wealth, but then loses it because of being so stingy and barely ever offering anything to anyone, including the demigods, except for one time he sincerely prayed in a sacrifice, and he had this shred of piety in his heart. When he lost everything, he became destitute. That tiny shred of sukriti became prominent, and he nourished it, and he became a sincere spiritual practitioner. He left everything. Everyone took it that he was actually a rascal because they saw that he lost everything, and they said, therefore, because you're so unsuccessful, now you're pretending to be a renunciate. He was actually sincere. He tolerated everybody chastising him, and they chastised him severely. They would throw things at him. They would tie him up. They would defecate on him. They would call him ill names. But in his heart, he held to that firm conviction. Itam ata astaya paratmadishtam adyasitam purvatamar maharshibi aham trishami durantaparam tamo mukundangri nishevayaiva itam sa astaya paratmadishtam. That I will cross over this insurmountable. I will cross over the insurmountable ocean of material existence by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were firmly fixed in devotional service to the Lord. And during his practices when he's being harassed, he said, who can complain when they bite their own tongue? Have you ever bitten your own tongue? Hope it's not just me. I do it all the time. Ouch! It really hurts. Either while sleeping or or honoring prasadam, and then bang, bite my tongue, and it's very painful. So, should I yell at somebody? I could yell at Nirkula. Nirkula, why'd you make me bite my tongue? He said, who can you blame for biting your own tongue? So this awareness, self-awareness, that actually every aspect of my life is an appropriate response to the way that I've interacted with the world. It's an appropriate response to my mentality. The subtlety of my attitude manifest my outward situation. And therefore, there is no cheating Krishna. When Ananda Murari Prabhu told me about that, it was a very potent reminder. This education is what you put into it yourself. And I remembered what everyone's mother used to tell her child, and that is that if you cheat, you've heard this, right? If you cheat, you only cheat yourself. Did your mama tell you that? If you cheat, you only cheat yourself. So the material world's a cheater's paradise. I want to cheat myself. I don't want to know who the Supreme Controller is. Deliberately don't want to know. I put up barriers made of philosophy, made of a society where there's no trace of seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No imagery, please. No nomenclature. Do not mention it. I don't want to hear about it. Someone divorces someone else, and then I never want to hear from you again. But the person who's been divorced continues to pay and support Krishna, even though I've divorced myself. I said, I don't want to, I'm breaking this off. I don't want to really see you anymore. I don't want to hear from you, but he still pays all the bills. Still maintains everything we do. Ultimately, our only happiness comes in reviving our relationship, admitting our relationship, and repairing it, repairing the relationship that we have with our well-wisher. The different kinds of friends. The Shastras talk about different friends we can have. Have you ever heard of a fair-weathered friend? Have you ever had a fair-weathered friend? Thank you, my fair-weathered friend. Like, I'm in trouble now. It's like, sorry, I can't help you anymore. Thank you, my fair-weathered friend. Krishna's not a fair-weathered friend. He's a friend in all circumstances of life. And what a strain on my being to neglect that kind of friendship, to ignore it. What happens? That kind of ignorance. Hare Krishna. Can you still hear me? That kind of ignorance expands into an ocean of ignorance. Ignorance. That's the material world. It's an ocean of ignorance. Little jivas ignoring their relationship with the Supreme. So the demigods praying to Lord Krishna within the womb say, Yene ravindaksha vimuktamaninas tvayastabhava vashuddha buddhaya. That the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has to again revive one's relationship with that beautiful Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by that, one's actually liberated. There's no workaround on this. I'll do a workaround. I'll just meditate on the impersonal Brahman and forget about the personal form. Krishna says, Klesho dikataras desham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukam dehavadbir avapyate. He tells Arjuna, that's very troublesome. That's very troublesome. It causes misery, ignorance. Even in spiritual practice, if one's practicing something to reach God, but then doesn't have a clear idea that there's a relationship with the Supreme Person who's our best friend and with whom we have an intimate relationship. Sanitya nitya sanbandha prakritish chaparayavasa. It's an eternal fact that we have a kinship with the Lord. Minus that, nothing helps. Naishkarmyam apyachuta bhava varjitam nashobhate jnanam alam niranjanam kutak puna shashvara bhadram ishvare nacharpitam karma yarapyakaranam. Narada Muni says, doesn't matter what you do, even if it's working for no reward, if you don't know Achyuta and have bhava and some emotion for him, it won't do you any good. Okay, we'll take a couple more.
Vaisesika Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
This is Vijay Damodar Das, Dhanvat Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I have a simple question. Could I share, please, if I can ask the question?
I don't know. Will I be intimidated by it?
Hopefully not.
Okay.
I mean, I can talk otherwise. Aparame, can I share?
Please share. You want to share the screen? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I think Aparame is allowed me. Okay, Maharaj. So over here, Prabhupada is mentioning that there's an order to the layers, right, over the soul. Intelligence above the mind, soul is above the intelligence. So senses, mind, intelligence, and soul, right? So you would expect that someone going the spiritual path would expect to cross the senses first, then the mind, the intelligence, and the soul, right? And then there's another fact given in 11.13.1 where it is being mentioned.
What did you mean first before you go on? What did you mean the senses would pass the mind?
So wouldn't you be controlling the senses first, and then once you draw your senses like a tortoise, and then you try to control your mind? I mean, a typical order. Of course, while doing Hare Krishna, we kind of do all of them together. But the order would be that first one kind of gets out of the external senses, then kind of gets the mind in control, then the intelligence, and then realizes that the soul is lost in this world and it really has a different responsibility. Krishna Nitya Swarup. So Nitya Swarup is to be Krishna's servant. So wouldn't that be the order? And if that
May we examine that for a second before you go to the second part of your presentation? If we look in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, gallery for a second. If we look in the third chapter, don't go there yet, but I just want to talk. Just go to the gallery. In the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives the hierarchy. The lowest of all is the senses. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence. Above the intelligence is he, the soul. And then, of course, as we know from the 13th chapter, then there's this super spirit, as Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam, the Paramatma. At the very end of the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Evam buddhi param buddhva samstabhyatmanamatmana jahi shatram mahabaho kama rupam durasadam. So what he's talked about in the 3rd chapter of the Gita, first he said lust is the eternal enemy of the soul. It burns like fire and it dissuades us from our actual self-interest. And he says that lust occupies different areas, including the senses, sometimes the mind, sometimes the intelligence, as in an army would strategically occupy a territory in order to take it over. So in military terms then, he's describing these different areas where we're overtaken by our eternal enemy, lust, which is born from Rajagun. And then he says at the conclusion that make a stand against this through your intelligence. Evam puti param buddhva samstabhyatmani. So you stand up and fight by fortifying your intelligence. Because when you have that discrimination, then you become stita pragya. And that's the description in the 2nd chapter of the Gita where Arjuna asks, how do I know somebody's actually fixed in consciousness? And then Krishna says, first thing, prajahati yada kaman sarvan parta manogatan atmanyevatmanatushta stita pragnasta dochite. If you see pratyahara within the person, that means the ability to pull back from the sense objects, which is an indication that the intelligence is ruling the hierarchy, not just the senses. So there is a sense that we have to have the intelligence first fortified in order to discriminate in what is the difference between serving our senses or serving Rishikesh, the master of the senses. And in that chapter, the 3rd chapter, Krishna indicates that start with your intelligence, make a stand there by fortifying yourself. Please continue, Vijay Damodar Prabhu. I know you have much more to say.
I think you kind of answered it. I was going to the 2nd order, which is, it is mentioned that the mind is a manifestation of the Vaikarika ego, which is egotism in goodness, and intelligence is from the egotism in passion, which is tejas. So logically, and obviously in Canto 11, 13th chapter, 1st verse, it is being mentioned that by cultivation of by development of material goodness, one can conquer the modes of passion and ignorance. And by cultivation of transcendental goodness, one may free oneself and even from material goodness. So the order is given that one should get to satvika state. And because the mind is the manifestation of egotism and goodness, therefore one would expect to first fortify the intelligence and then the mind. Whereas the shells say that one should fortify the mind first, then the intelligence, and then go and realize their ahankar, and then go to the ego. So order is different between mind and intelligence in these two scenarios. And that's what my question was.
Well, the reason that the mind is manifest from rajas, the buddhi is described as being manifest from rajas, and the mind is manifest from sattva, is because the intelligence is creative. Intelligence means planning. Planning means rajas. It means let me progress. I'll make a strategic plan. I'll have a vision and mission statement. I'll put out my KRAs. This is rajas, progress. Mind is a neutral entity. It's what we make of it. It is in its original state before we load it up with the modes of nature in various ways. It is a neutral. And this neutrality is the symptom of sattva. Sattva is neutrality. It means that it's open and balanced. It doesn't discriminate. And buddhi means discrimination. So actually, the first instruction that Rupa Goswami says, Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayat. First thing, think of Krishna. If you think of Krishna, then everything else becomes possible. And it's practical advice. He says, first of all, induce people to think of Krishna somehow or other. If you're a teacher and you're wondering how to make people Krishna conscious, first let them think of Krishna. Now, the intelligence, because of its discriminatory power, Kapila Dev says, it has several features. One of the most important features of the intelligence is doubt. And he says that unless one has the power to doubt, how can one come to a reasonable conclusion that I should surrender to Krishna? So in the beginning, we need to doubt. Siddhanta bolya chintanakara alash iha hoite Krishna lage shudrad manosh. Kaviraj Goswami says, you question this process. You look at it carefully. You doubt it. You say, is this true or not true? Otherwise, you stay in a neophyte position. You have very weak faith, komal shraddha. It's not based on your buddhi. You haven't fortified it by intensive discussion. By saying, why are you doing this? Why is there a God? Why isn't material nature God? Why is there a controller beyond this? Unless we know this, then somebody else can come along and say, it's just a religion you're practicing. It's just faith. It doesn't mean anything. You could follow any faith. Why not follow ours? We'll give you more money. And they go, okay, that sounds good. You give me a house and a car, throw in a trailer for my car, and it'll change. So we have to have this discriminatory power, which comes from the buddhi, to bring us to the threshold of bhakti. And then when we've decided, we've discriminated between what actually is matter and what is spirit, as an example, and then we come to understand it's reasonable. So we have what's called well-reasoned faith. Well-reasoned faith. And at that point, Kapila Dev said, now you surrender your mind and intelligence at this doorstep of bhakti, because once you've understood through your intellect, through your buddhi, yes, this is correct. Yes, there is a supreme controller. He must be personal. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. All types of perfect entities are emanating. What must be the origin? All this logic, it's going on in the intellect. But then it shouldn't go on and on and on, Kapila Dev says. You come to that point and now you say, I surrender. So there's two sides to this. There's blind faith, which we don't want. And there's also blind doubt. It's the same thing on the other side of the coin. So you have to use your intelligence deliberately to come to the point of understanding, where should I actually place my attention? And once you've discerned it with your intelligence, and your intelligence become fortified, evam buddhi param buddhva samstabhyatmana matmana, now you fully give your mind, your heart, everything, your senses. And the intelligence is always there, because the senses are going, you sure you want to get up early? How about we sleep until noon, And your intelligence says, Shastra says, Guru Maharaj says, get up early, chant your rounds. So, I already decided, sorry, we already surrendered. It's too late. Guys, you're coming along for the ride, and grow up. So, this is mature devotional service. It's step by step. The intelligence has to be satisfied, and then surrendered, and then the mind and the intelligence work together, and the senses cooperate. Or, sometimes people engage. Okay, I know, I'm stopping. Okay. Sometimes people get their senses engaged first. Just, they're hapless. They walk in, and like Jayananda used to do, he'd be working on the Rath Yatra cart. And he'd say, hey, buddy, do you know how to hammer? I can't do it very well. If you could just hold this nail for a second and hammer it in. It's like, can you do one more? And then, 3 hours later, person's using his senses to hammer nails and go, what's this all about anyway? What is this thing? It's like, oh yeah, this is a chariot for Jagannath. Who's Jagannath? And then, from the senses, or somebody gets some prasadam and eats it and goes like, yum, 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 vapi. Like that. Then, gradually the intelligence goes, well, why did that taste so good? Thank you very much, everybody, for your kind attention. Now we're going to have our Guru Puja, because by worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead's representative, we can overcome all obstacles in this material world.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the detailed explanation. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for such a good question. We would expect nothing less from you. Okay, we have violin. Do we have flute? We might have a bass clarinet. Yes. We got Sadhu
Marge,
back on Jamulus. Yes?
first I would like to figure out the tune, mute it, and then I'll unmute it when I figure out the tune.
Totally. You just take your time in integrating, and we'll have a dedicated practice session because we want to get that horn in here as soon as possible.
Okay, Marge.
So feel free to just jump in and make mistakes whenever you want, if you need to, and then, you can scale back, and then we'll find their groove.
Okay, Marge. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Glad to have you there, Sadhu. Namashrestam manamapi shachi putra matra sarupam Shri rupam tasya grajam uruporiam maturim goshtavatim. Everyone please. Radha kundam girivaramoho radhika madhavasha Prapto yasya pratita kripaya Shri Guru Tanatosmi. Hey Guru Gyanadadina Bandho Swananda Data Kurunaika Sindho Vrindavana Sina Hitavata Sina Radha Pranaya Prachara. Hey Dinabando Kurunaika Sindho Kuru Prasada Mayamanda Mudhe Laksha Paradhe Bahupapa Gadhe Tatpada Padme Stumatishta Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Surup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatana Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kunda and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Sri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a doleful and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Kati Sadna Bandombu Sabadana Mate Jahara Prasade Bhaye Bhavato Riyaja Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoy Te Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koliya Oikya Anakori Homani Hasha Sri Guru Charane Rati Aishe Uttama Gati Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. Sounded good. Yeah. Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. Go Sadhu. Chakudan dilo je janme janme prabhu she Divya gyan hre prakashita Divya gyan hre prakashita Prema bhakti ja hoite abidya vinasa jate Prema bhakti ja hoite avidya vinasa jate Vire gai jahara charito Gai Jahara Charito Vide Gai Jahara Charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Adama Janara Bandhu jivana. Lokana lokera jivana. Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Dehamone Pada Chaya. Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Dehamone Pada Chaya. Ebe Jash Kushuk Trivana. Yes. Ebe Jash Kushuk Trivana. Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deho Muni Pada Chaya. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Go Srivas Pandit Prabhu. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. A word for the best Grihastha couple dancing, Srivas and Malini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Rishatajine. Nice, Sadhu. Go for it. Beautiful. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Need cowbell. Somebody should play cowbell. Panchatattva ki jai. Take shelter of the holy name. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can't get any bar without violin. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Go Premanande Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Let's hear it for Sada Vrindavan, his debut on the bass clarinet. Come on, give it up now. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Dance your way back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privajikacharya Sto Tarashdashi Shimad Abhai Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privajikacharya Sto Tarashdashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Goti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sagoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadiptam Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samveda Bhaktim Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Go ahead, Pri Kishore, more. Keep going, keep the harmonium, let her do some stuff. If that doesn't make your heart overflow, nothing will. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. We have lots of stuff, so we're going to take announcements right now so we can finish at 10 and start the Gita competition. Just one request from my side. I got a call from Badri Narayan Maharaj this morning. San Diego devotees need a little coaching and help. They have the big, huge potential. But if we could develop a little advocacy, some of the devotees could take this on as a project to contact them. And I told them we'll set up a call or whatever we need to get them on track. They're ready to go. Mars ready to do what he needs to do. So all the devotees down there, but we need to share some best practices. Does that sound okay? Okay. Thank you very much. Malini, go ahead. And then we have JM, and then anybody else make an announcement. Just keep in mind today, truncate as much as you possibly can so we can start the Gita contest in a few minutes. Go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, for this week, we are continuing to do the calling party. And last week, many devotees have started trying the calling the other small businesses, and it was successful. And so we are continuing to do that this week. And we only have 4 weekends left for our marathon. So we have to double up. And as you were mentioning in the class, that we have to be attentive to our service with one-pointed attention. If we can tax our brains to come up with some ideas. And we have calling parties every day, 2 to 4 p.m. every Saturday. So you can join and share your ideas as well, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
So everyone knows where to sign in to join?
Yes, Prabhu. It will be sent on the Weekend Warriors group. the Zoom details will be sent every Saturday.
Okay. And we're also devising a fundraiser, which will be very exciting and coming up very soon. So you can keep that in your mind also. And thank you. Is
Hare
that it?
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kameshwari here. I just wanted to quickly share something. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, last week was Advait's off for the school, and he made several presentations to my some of the colleagues and some contacts, and he for the Bhagavad Gita, and he was able to give out 5 cases and raise the sponsorship for Bhagavad Gita cases. And one of my colleagues, he's in India, is getting married. So he suggested him to give out Bhagavad Gita, and he's planning to do that in his wedding. But there are very less people these days for the wedding, but at least something. So yeah, and Advait is willing to do more during Christmas holidays also, because mostly we find that kids are busy with schools, but during the holidays he was very much willing to give time, and we went through some of the presentations. Just wanted to share that.
And Wade is such a trendsetter, you know, for the sets and also for Bhagavad Gitas. And I really like this methodology that he's using and you're using, which is just add Bhagavad Gita. Right now, World Gita Day is on the 25th. Feel free to put the word out to everybody. It doesn't matter if they are from India or anywhere else, and tell them that there's a huge event going on in the world right now for world peace. And it culminates in World Gita Day on the 25th. And we are distributing 2 million Bhagavad Gitas. Make no mistake about it. So everywhere we go, you can suggest to people, just as we did for the Diwali, take Bhagavad Gita instead of sweets. Take Bhagavad Gita for the real estate agents. There are unlimited opportunities out there for people to take Bhagavad Gita. So just keep suggesting to everyone you meet, funeral, wedding, whatever it may be, take Bhagavad Gita and be part also of spreading the 2 million, at least, Bhagavad Gitas all over the Earth planet. And if you keep making that vibration constantly, someone's going to come along and from you, they're going to sponsor 100,000 Bhagavad Gitas, one person. If you keep trying, you'll see it'll happen. So go and even if you do in small parts, everything counts. Every case, every extra book, because we're depending on the sheer numbers of devotees being involved. So please go for it. Thank you very much, Kameshwari. That was very helpful. Okay, JM, are you there?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to do a quick recap of Bhakti community. I want to give an overview as well as provide a couple of updates. So Bhakti community, as most of you know, is an online community targeted for newcomers. It has a series of programs primarily for spiritual upliftment throughout the week, right from Monday to Sunday. Bhakti on, sadhana on, spiritual fitness, Bhakti circle, women's circle, mantra music, and various courses. So whenever you get in touch with a newcomer, either by giving books or coming in contact in conversations, please do share them Bhakti community. So go to bhakticommunity.com/invite-newcomers. So we have a email template there which you can use. You can copy paste and share Bhakti community to them, and they can take advantage of all these programs which I just mentioned. Just wanted to share a good news that we have reached a small milestone. We have 150 members now in Bhakti community. So the membership is slowly growing. So thank you everyone for your continued support and encouragement in growing this community. We do have cards, bookmarks, and stickers which you can give out along whenever you give books. So it's available at the book shed. So whenever you ask for books from Tarun Prabhu or Venudhari Prabhu please do ask for bookmarks, which is a very nice little bookmark we have, as well as we just received 10,000 stickers as well. So it's a very small but attractive and beautiful sticker, which you can put it inside the book. You can just paste it, and that way they can always be there with the book, so that whoever is reading them gets inspired to come forward. We do have several opportunities for service, from partner service to video editing, marketing, etc. So in case any one of you are interested, please do get in touch at hi@bhakticommunity.com. I'll be more than happy to share the opportunities with you. Those were the quick updates from Bhakti Community today. Thank you.
One suggestion I have, Jai Madhava Prabhu, and you can coordinate this with Malini or one of the devotees, is Divyanga Prabhu out in Alachua, Florida. He's distributing hundreds of books every day. He asked me the other day, but how do I connect these people to something? And so I told him that we would send him all the peripherals that he can pass out along with the books, because he's already giving out so many books every day.
Wow, wonderful.
So if you could arrange to send him, bookmarks, stickers, whatever else you have, and that way every time he distributes a book, they'll go out. And there may be other independent book distributors that can do that also, but let's start with him, okay?
Yeah, so we did send 1,000 bookmarks to Ekadasi Mataji, who is part of Bhakti Community Alachua. So I will triangulate with her as well as Divyang Prabhu, so that they get he gets whatever he needs from Bhakti Community Alachua. Thank you so much for that opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is everyone good? Okay, so this is a rare opportunity. I don't think in our lifetime, because I hope not, we're going to get another opportunity to do a Christmas marathon, a Prabhupada marathon during a pandemic. I hope not. But let's take advantage of this. We've been meeting with devotees from countries all over the world. We met with Middle East yesterday, Japan the day before, South America, Russia, the UK, South America. Everybody's up for this. And they're going full speed towards the 2 million Gitas. This is an unprecedented marathon, like nothing anybody's ever seen before. So feel free to, while being safe from getting hit by this little virus bug that's just very dangerous and unpredictable, so be careful. Don't assume anything about it. Just follow carefully the restrictions, but do with boldness and abandon promote Prabhupada's books and Bhagavad Gita and put yourself out as much as possible for that, because now's the chance of a lifetime. Heroes are made during wartime.
Mukharinda Prabhu just shared what their neighbors actually are dropping off at his door on the Weekend Warriors group. So they're dropping off oranges, some cards also, Prabhu.
Who's dropping off oranges and cards?
Their neighbors, Prabhu, for the gifts that we gave last week. They're actually returning.
It's a reciprocation to Dati Pratigurnati?
Yes.
Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. It sounds like they already have. Oh, may the blessings from above shine on you with peace and love. It sounds like they already have. Congratulations on the birth of your first child. How nice. And welcome to the neighborhood. We look forward to getting to know you. COVID-19 restrictions are more relaxed. When they are more relaxed, that's good. P.S. The oranges are a sense of love for Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person. Oh, oranges are for the first of the season. They are from the first of the season. There will be more coming. Just see how Mukharvinda and Ananga made friends with all their neighbors by giving Bhagavad Gita. The love is flowing in the world through Lord Krishna's beautiful teachings. Give gifts, give Gita. Give more. Spread them all over the world. Don't hold back. Gaur Premanande. Where's Sada? We need the horn on this one. Sharira, Sharira Vijaja Jodendriya Taheka Jime Pele Vishayas. Is that too high? Start me over. Fun to go. Sharirat Vijaja Jodindriya Taheka Jibe Pele Vishaya Shagore Taramage Jivayati Lobamui Sudurmati Taki Jita Katita Shamshare Krishna Bora Doyamoy Kori Bari Jivajay Shaprasadannati Lobai Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Premedako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Premedako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Mahapashari Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sopa Punya Pratam Rajan Vishwaso Navijayate Prasade Sarvatukhanam Hanirasyo Jayate Prasana Chetso Yashu Bhutikarya Prachishyate Ayuprabhuta Sraganda Vasulankara Charchitaha Uchishta Bojino Dasyas Tavamayam Jayemahi Bhagavat Shrima Prasadaki Gaur Premanande. What's the note that you're going to start? Nitai Gaur. Nitai Gaur. Nitai Gaur Haribo. 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribo. 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Coming up next, Gita contest. And here are the champions who have arrived from different parts of the universe. They're yogis who are in very young bodies. They dove into the Ganges on higher planets, up like by Tupalok, and then they came out of the Ganges down here on Earth and have just showed up, especially for this Gita contest. Let's give them a warm welcome to all the sadhus and yogis appearing from the higher planetary systems. Haribo! Vanchakalpadrusha kripasindhavevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And now we give full center stage to our dear yogis and sadhus and yoginis and sadhvis.